Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Hopefully everybody's staying safe and sanitized and everybody's getting caught up with your work. I'm looking forward to reading through some of those 28th Amendments. This week, we're going to look at Article number 1, and it's all about the legislative branch. I think our founding fathers did not make one branch more important than the other. They all have a separation of powers, checks and balances. The legislative branch, the judicial branch, the executive branch, they're all the same. But I do think the founding fathers put a little bit more emphasis on this branch. And you're going to see why here in just a second, folks. These are the people that make your laws, so let's check them out. U.S. Congress. Well, first, let's look at the organization. And in the last unit, we talked about something called the Great Compromise. This was when those large states went to one side of the room, the small states went to the other side of the room, and they started arguing about representation, and one guy stands up after weeks of debating, this guy named Roger Sherman from Connecticut, and he says, I got an idea. I think we should compromise. And they called it the Great Compromise. And he says, I think we should have a bicameral legislature, which means two houses. And I think one house should be called the House of Representatives. This should be based on state population. This will appease those large states. And in the Senate, we're going to have it based on equal representation. Every state is going to get 2 senators. So first, let's look at the House of Representatives. And of course, representation is based off of state population. There are 435 people in this building, folks, every single day. North Carolina has 13 people in the House of Representatives representing you. California has 53. Why does California get more representatives than we do? Because of state population. You have to be 25 years old. You have to live in the state that you want to represent. And you have to be a U.S. citizen for 7 years. The question is, can you be an immigrant? Ding, ding, ding. Yes, you can. You can be an immigrant and be a congressman. Here is the House of Representative term, folks. They serve 2-year terms. They are elected every 2 years. But here's the catch. They have unlimited terms. There is no limit on the amount of times that they can run for office. Literally, there are still people that have been there since the 70s. Like we said, there are 435 total members. This is a fixed number, which means no matter what the census says, this number will not change. Keep in mind, folks, the House of Representatives is based off of state population, so you need that census data. The census determines the number of each state. They're doing a census this year, obviously, but this is the last one. We don't have the data from this year yet. So based on the 2010 census, this is how many representative members are in this House of Representatives. So take a look and see which states are getting the most. Here is North Carolina's congressional districts. And as you see, there are 13, folks. Here is Stanley County. We are right here in the middle, number 8. Each one of these districts has a representative. So there is one person from each one of these districts in the Capitol representing you every single day, folks. Let's look at the Senate. The Senate is based off of every single state being equal. The requirements, you need to be 30 years old. You need to live in the state that you represent. You have to be a citizen for 9 years. I like to look at it like this. By the way, you're going to see this term pop up, so I'm going to go ahead and give it to you. It's called incumbent. The term incumbent means a person who is in office when an election is happening. So right now, who is your presidential incumbent? Here are your senators, folks, from North Carolina. Hopefully you've heard of these before. This is Thom Tillis and Richard Burr. If you work for Congress, this is about what your benefits are going to be. You're going to make $150,000. You're going to have your own staff. You're going to get an office space in the Capitol building. You're going to have legal protection to speak freely whenever you want to Congress. There are limits. Every single branch has checks and balances, right? So you can be removed from Congress. It's not called impeachment. It's called expulsion. Every 2 years, an entirely new Congress is elected, sworn in, and given a number. Congress meets from January to November or December, depending on what all's going on. By the way, you can find all this stuff in the 20th Amendment. Here is your current Congress, folks. The 116th. So there you have it, folks. First day over with. We looked at Congress. We looked at sort of how Congress is organized into two houses. We call that bicameral. One house being the Senate, one house being the House of Representatives. Today's notes was easy, folks. Tomorrow, we are going to look at some of the people that work in Congress. We're going to look at some of the committees that are in Congress. How does Congress operate? And at the end of the week, we're going to finish up with how does a bill become a law? Folks, I will see you tomorrow.